this is John for MTG Nexus doing a quick deck tech before we get started on a league with Izzet Prowess. This was one of the versions that did well this weekend. Chose to use this version over the other one. There's no Bedlam Revelers in this version, so this is more about trying to get on the board and kill your opponent as quickly as possible. As a friendly reminder, if you like modern, Pioneer, and Legacy content, especially of the red-based variety, please consider subscribing to the channel, as we aim to be the most informative channel on YouTube for those formats for the decks we play. So here is Izzet Prowess, with the addition of Sprite Dragon and Stormwing Entity. There have been a lot of people trying to get these cards to work in this shell, and this seems like a reasonable compromise to some of the versions we've played in the past. You have 2 Mutagenic Growth, 2 Gut Shot, and 4 Metamorphose to turn on your Stormwing entities on turn 2. Seems pretty reasonable, and then a lot of other different spells obviously can turn on Stormwing entity on turn 3. Very powerful card. Its main attraction is the fact that it doesn't die to Fatal Push, which is one of the bigger removal spells in Modern right now. Much like something like Chandra's Incinerator, and oftentimes you can have like a Mutagenic Growth up to protect it, so even Bolt isn't necessarily a reliable thing, so it can be a difficult threat to remove. Brazen Borrower as a one-of is an interesting thing. I guess this gives you like main deck outs to problematic permanents, things like an Ensnaring Bridge or such that might be able to lock you out of the game from winning it. This is a rather nice one-of, I think, although not the most efficient play. And 3 copies of Lay at the Stage seems fine. 4th one can get glutted in your hand a little bit. One main deck Aethergust I think was a meta call for the particular event they were in. I'm not sure this is something that I would want moving forward, but it was an interesting call. Sprite Dragon has impressed in small numbers. We'll see if a 4-of impresses. Then obviously Swift Spirit and Soulscar Mage as your kind of primary threats on turn 1. Beyond that, you're running Guts, Lava Darts, Lightning Bolts, Wild Slashes. You're pretty good against small creature decks in that regard. While the burn spells aren't as efficient as something like Lava Spike in some spots, it is nice to have that extra utility and triggers for all of your prowess, plus Sprite Dragons. And then obviously Metamorphose kind of ties it all together, be able to cast Sprite Dragon, play multiple spells, kind of chain off and win a lot from there, and then Opt kind of ties all together with the mana base. One-of Island I think is okay. There could be some times where this comes up where we're playing a primarily red deck and have an island as one of our lands, see how that plays out. And then beyond that, not a whole lot special to this build. Sideboard, 2nd and 3rd copies of Aethergust, pretty good in a meta where things like Prowess and Uro Piles are a big part of the meta. Especially Uro Piles playing Wilderness Wreck. 2 copies of Mystical Dispute, also pretty good against Uro Piles. Dismember for any type of big creatures you can take down when you don't necessarily have a Soulscar Mage. 4 copies of Leyline are interesting. I wonder what they were particularly targeting here. I guess it hits Uro Pile if you really want to bring it in that regard, but I think that might be going a little too deep on those matchups. But pretty good against Dredge and that kind of nonsense. 2 copies of Assault Strobe, pretty decent when you need to increase your clock, especially in matchups where you need to race, matchups like Ad Nauseam, Big Mana, etc. As you really can't play things like Blood Moon in this particular version when you need to cast the blue spells. 2 copies of Abrade for Chalice and other small creatures. Then 2 copies of Kozilek's Return, pretty good against small creature decks. And also, being devoid is a pretty good way to kill things like Burrington Forge Tender, Core Firewalker, etc., which otherwise could be very annoying things for a mostly mono red deck to deal with. So that said, let's hop into some matches and see how this goes. Here for match number 1. It seems pretty reasonable. A couple 1-drop creatures, some burn spells. Let's get our opponents on. Unfortunately, we're on the draw, so it takes away a little bit of the effectiveness of having this many 1-drops. Or maybe not. Burn, maybe? Soulscar Mage, sure. Clearly indicating we have Wild Slash here. growth. Suspend the Rift Bolt. Yep. Pass turn. Okay. Sure. Okay. Okay. So, Boros Charm or something here. Yep, going to 8, going to 5. So could very easily be dead here. Apparently not. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put that on top or bottom? Okay, so we did. Alright. Kind of a weird start from Burn there. So what's good in this matchup? Kozilek's Return's pretty decent against all other nonsense. Ether Gust is okay. Braid is okay. Assault Strobe feels like a bit of a risk. Probably board out the Gut Shots and the Lava Darts. Does that make sense? Don't really kill any of Burn's creatures. Leaves me with Wild Slashes, Bolts, and Abrades. Does that make sense? 4, 6, 8, 11 things to deal with creatures. 13. Seems reasonable enough. Don't really want to Braid. Mystical Dispute's kind of slow. This hand is really awkward. Guess we keep it. Once again, could be too slow on the draw. Okay, never mind. We're good. They kept a one-lander? Seems unnecessarily risky. If they have a bold, I'm kind of fine with it, you know? Looking for other threats, definitely not looking for other lands. Oh, bolt. Okay. What kind of hand did you keep, friend? Sure. This they're more than welcome to as well. Kozilek's Return goes bye-bye. Sure. Play a bit of a weird tempo game here. little bit here. See if this forces them to burn a burn spell. Does not. Sure. So I'm deliberately not using Kozilek's Return yet in case they have multiple copies of Core Firewalker. I really want them to deploy all of them. Okay. Sure. Well played. Explains why they kept the really slow, awkward hand. Okay. May as well go ahead and concede now. We can't, with one Kozilek's Return exiled and the other one... Is there some consideration to bringing in a Dismember? Probably not. Not the most exciting hand, but I still think we keep it. Okay, Bruce and Murder, kind of obnoxious, but grab a basic mountain here. Here, which kind of sucks. Okay. Other Searing Blaze would suck. Quarter Firewalker is annoying, but it's kind of whatever. If they don't have a follow-up spell, we're good, right? You have double Core Firewalker here. Cosmic's Return would be amazing. Am I dead? Possibly I'm dead. Huh? You win some, you lose some. Backer for match number 2. We're gonna play. Opponent is a Giganta deck. So particularly aggressive. This hand's aggressive, but really needs to find a second land. I still think we keep it though on 6. Tron. Okay. A second threat. This clock may not be fast enough. Do you have Natty Tron on 6? Of course you do. Karn into what? Trinisphere? Sure. If they minus it, at least the Karn's gone. Alright, and the game's over. Definitely an Assault Strobe matchup, definitely a Braid matchup. Ether Ghost can probably go out. Gutshot's not particularly interesting. Wild Slash. Hand seems plenty aggressive enough. So the problem with the last hand, like we had one prowess creature, and I don't think that was just enough damage. So. Oh, this is quite setting up for a turn 3 kill, but it's going to be a lot of damage next turn. Pitch to thin here a little bit. So 3. Large payoff. Like Thrag Tusk would be probably the most annoying. So you're dead. Okay. Make sure this doesn't have... Making sure I wasn't going to miss my attack step, I guess. Shrug. So there is like some consideration for Ethergust against like Thrag Tusks and stuff, but I do think like the number of Thrag Tusks have been going down in these lists. So the Tron deck that did well has access to 3 Thrag Tusks. The other Tron deck had 2 Thrag Tusks. But, like, it's really kind of hard to time Ethergust with some things sometimes. So, guess we'll try it and see. Guess this hand's okay. It's not like the fastest kill in the world, which is a problem. 1 mana Morphos or Mutagenic Growth or something. Yeah, we're not in great shape. If there's a saving grace here, it's the fact that our threats are flyers this game. For an opt here. Past the point of Swift Spear being a good draw. Sure. I hate when they do this to try to get you to skip your combat step. It's really freaking annoying. But we're probably dead here, so... Okay. Trinisphere again? Yep. Sure. Do enough mana to play Gruul, unfortunately they do. It's a lot of towers. Oh, sure, because, you know, couldn't beat the stuff that was already going on. Alright, 0-2 start, unfortunately. Gear for match number 3. We're on the play. So turn 1, Soulscar Mage, turn 2, Anamorphous Stormwing Entity, and we're on the play. Seems reasonable enough. Pass turn. Another Tron. Alright, so rematch. Hopefully this draw will be better. Don't have to take that damage there. It's possible it's correct to play the mountain. Problem is we can't draw both of these next turn. So what does next turn look like? Bolt into Stormwing Entity. I think we keep both those, question mark. So Sprite Dragon plus Gut Shot would be 2, 6. Just curious which order we're supposed to keep things. Guess we just keep them in the order they're currently in. Seeing if we could set up a turn 3 kill, but I don't think we can. With the available spells, at least. So our opponent kept a slower hand. Cool. Pretty sure our opponent had Tron on 3 every game last match, so that makes things a little bit different. Shot. Stormwing Entity. Set up lethal next turn. Yep. Alright. Nice to get the win on the play this time. Last time we did not. So, definitely want the abrades. Definitely want the assault strobes. Ether Gust is a little middling. Obviously, you can potentially snag a Thrag Tusk, but that is a little kind of eh. Beyond that, the cards with the least impact are like Gut Shots pretty much, but they also turn on Stormwing Entity, so maybe shave a Stormwing Entity and the Gut Shots. I kept 7. We need to draw a land in our first. How many lands is this deck running? 19. So 18 over 53, so roughly 70% to draw a second land. This hand is high enough upside. Interesting. Get punished. Tower, play tower. Okay. So obviously if they have Tron next turn, we're in a lot of trouble, or Weather the Storm could be problematic as well. Probably want the land. Ballista. Okay. Gonna cast Weather the Storm, you're only gaining. Yep. Nothing, huh? Well, ain't that Don't think this is likely to win, but we'll keep playing on. Alright. It's possible they didn't have, that they didn't have Weather the Storm and they were just bluffing and I should have gone for it. Might have resulted in a win. This hand's pretty good. Complimenting our opponent there. Do this thing, do this thing. Okay. Definitely don't want the Storming Entity. Lava Dart might help me beat something like a, they have All Is Dust we're smoked. I mean, we're not beating All Is Dust. Most of their other payoffs here I think we can beat. Yep, it's the card that it was kind of... Log? Yep. All right. Well, it's really disappointing losing to Tron twice in a row. Like, was I really supposed to play around the All Is Dust there? I don't know. Back for match number 4. Not sure if it was right to go there for it through the obvious. I do think we keep this hand. Second land, it's amazing. Even with one hand, it's pretty reasonable. Through the obvious weather the storm that our opponent said they had anyway the following game. So. Okay, so bolt. Yep. I was about ready to punt there. Really looking for a second land here. Well, not exactly the land I was looking for. Basic Island's pretty miserable there. Okay, so it looks like we're up against Gruul, maybe? Looks like our opponent just auto-passed. Beep, 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 beep. Okay. Stomp? Manamorphose. Okay, I have no idea what's going on here. Sure. Ether gusts are probably decent here. Not quite sure. Decks are even playing Farseek these days. I didn't see any. Well, no companions or anything, so. Alright, do that. Maybe we want Assault Strobe. Good shots are probably not great. They're probably red-green pawns, or not red-green pawns, red-green Valakut Scapeshift of some kind. And then. Yeah. Do I want to bring any answers to Chalice? Seems screwy, but I'd rather have some answers to Chalice than just be cold to the card. Because in the past, some Valakut decks have brought in Chalice because they really don't play too many things on one. Yeah, 4 lands and no creatures definitely can't keep. This hand's at least functional. 1, 2, 3. It's probably bottom a land here. Has conceded the game. Okay. Well. Back for match number 5. Sure, opponent good luck. Hand's pretty reasonable overall. Serum Visions. Okay. Most likely... Okay, I was going to say most likely ad nauseum, which also is not a fantastic matchup for us. Skirmish, no. Fiery Islet, no. This feels like Pentad Prism. Yeah. Considering, let's say, are they considering I'm guessing this is Phyrexian Unlife. Yep. This doesn't outright kill them, so... And if they have the ad nauseum, we're just dead, so... Let's take a look at their main deck config here. Say, if they're waiting for me to concede, they're kind of wasting their time. As far as sideboarding, we have a couple of abrades, a couple of mystical disputes, a couple of assault strobes. Assault strobe can speed up the clock potentially. Mystical dispute can disrupt what they're doing a little bit. Although it's not like mystical dispute isn't great because their key spells are mainly black and close a 1-3. And win the game. All right. Nausem Modern. So, ley lines, some Rasp potentially. Veil of Summers, which aren't particularly relevant against what we're doing. So, bring the assault strobes, bring the abrades, bring the mystical disputes, down the ether gust, down the gut shots, question mark, wild slashes, basically anything that's just like direct damage. Like bolt, it's possible I'm supposed to leave in like gut shot or wild slash over bolt, simply because it's more likely to trigger prowess for mana efficiency's sake. Maybe I'll leave in the gut shots over some of the bolts. So the thing about bolts is like they likely bring in like Land of Sanctity against us to slow down our clock from damage standpoint. So I'd love to play first. This hand's fine, buy its stuff. Opponent revealing a Ley Line of Sanctity. Nope, only thing. That's what's going on. Opponent scratch to the top. No Lotus Bloom. Let's get some pressure down here. So I think if we don't hit a land next turn, I might opt looking for a third land and be able to play Sprite Dragon plus a spell. Because just playing Sprite Dragons out as hasty 1/1s isn't going to really do enough damage. So if we don't draw a third land, I'm going to opt off Basic Island looking for a land. If not, opt and Bolt at least does a reasonable amount of damage this turn. Soul Skirmage is at least interesting. I haven't seen a whole lot of light up the stage, honestly, this particular league. And Mr. Dispute will be on their radar now going forward. They have a Bontus? Doesn't look like it. It might have a, whatchamacallit though. Phyrexian on life. Yep. Brazen Borrower might be a good draw here. Six. So they have to win next turn. You would need Simian Spirit God plus Ad Nauseam to go off this turn. Six. I guess they could also have Bontus here, which would be rough. Yeah, that's not going to cut it. Oh, they're just going to have Spoils of the Vault plus stuff. Yay! Cheese Out wins. Brought in the Leylands, and they brought in the Bontus against us. Alright. That was kind of a disappointing finish. Be back in a sec with the wrap-up. Hey, we're back for the wrap-up with Blue-Red Prowess, one of the versions that did well this past weekend's challenge. Obviously, the results are very disappointing. 1-4 is a pretty miserable league overall. But if you look at a lot of like some of the games we lost, like we lost a game against Burn, where our opponent purposely slow rolled a couple of Core Firewalkers and won them a game. You know, if they had just continued to slam Core Firewalkers, then the Kozilek's return we had would have probably gotten them and maybe bought us the win. And then they had just enough damage in game number 3 to kill us with the mana they had. And Tron, I don't know, man. There's been something weird going on with Tron lately. I don't know if it's just the people that are playing Tron are good, if the builds that have evolved are just that good against red, but I've been losing a lot to Tron lately. Whether it be with Burn or with Prowess. Obviously, there were some play lines there. Maybe don't play into All Is Dust, game number 3 of the second match against Tron, etc. Yeah, it's kind of whatever. Maybe I'm supposed to go for the damage, because each spell is like effectively doing 4 or 5 damage, especially with a Shalt Strobe, even in the face of Weather the Storm. I don't think we would have killed them, but we definitely could have made the game a lot closer, and then All Is Dust obviously kind of wrecking house for us there. And then Ad Nauseam's just a miserable matchup for any type of red aggressive deck, whether it be Prowess, whether it be Burn. You really have to kill them on turn 3 or have some type of disruption for what they have doing. And the problem is, like, when you're having to leverage like all of your pressure and mana into like pressuring them, you can't hold up like an Abrade to kill their whatchamacallit, their thing. Although I do think in that particular case, holding up a Braid even didn't matter, because then they just, the trigger on the stack goes regardless whether the creature dies or not, so you just end up dying. So, kind of a frustrating league, but a lot of matchups were closer on the surface than they appeared. So, a lot of 1-2s in that league, and the one match we won was kind of a bizarre one. I still don't know exactly what they were on. Probably some type of Scapeshift deck, but kind of hard to say with Manamorphose, and their deck was a little weird. And yeah, overall, incredibly poor finish, but a lot of interesting plays and lines that our opponents took in some spots, and maybe we're supposed to play some different lines. If you have any thoughts about some of the lines I took, please consider commenting down below. Please be respectful. I'm here to improve my play as much as it is to help you guys out with, seeing decks and such. So please be respectful in your comments when you're pointing out play lines. That's all I ask. Anyways, this has been John for MTG Nexus.